Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. If this is the very first time you've discovered my YouTube channel, yay, you're here. You found me. I've been waiting for you. My goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a particular film. So, that particular film I'm reviewing today is called My Name is Sara. This stirring World War II drama has two premieres. First, in theaters in New York City on July 13th, 2022, and then in theaters nationwide on July 22nd, 2022. And I don't know why, that's just what the studio told me. So there you go. So the movie is rated R and it's an hour and 51 minutes. Now, normally I give my movie review mom grade at the end of the review to make you keep watching, but I'm trying an experiment this month. And so I'm going to give you my score now, and then I want you to keep watching so you can understand why I gave it the score that I did. So, you want to know what it is? My movie review mom grade is a B. I really enjoyed it, but I shouldn't say enjoy because it's about World War II and people suffering and dying and worse horrible things that happen. But I thought the film was really well made and definitely evoked some emotions. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out the things that I liked and then didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, and even recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that I think you might also like. Okay, so let's dive in. In a nutshell, My Name is Sara tells the true life story of a 13-year-old whose name is Sara Goralniak, whose family was killed by Nazis in September of 1942. After a grueling escape to the Ukrainian countryside, Sara finds refuge in a small village, passing as a Christian, where she's taken in by a farmer and his young wife. She soon discovers the dark secrets of her employer's marriage, compounding the greatest secret she must strive to protect: her true identity. Born in a displaced persons camp, executive producer Mickey Shapiro is the son of Sara Goralniak and Asa Shapiro. He's involved in multiple charities and organizations dedicated to preserving the memory of the Holocaust, including Steven Spielberg's USC Shoah Foundation. Mickey credits his family history as the inspiration for his philanthropy. And if you're interested in family history, often called genealogy, definitely check out my book on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook and as a print book, but it is soon to be released as an audiobook. We're just finishing everything up with my narrator. Anyway, it's called Ancestry: How to Research Your Family History and Climb Your Family Tree. So each chapter walks you through how to find that information. And we're so blessed to have the internet nowadays where it's so much easier to find that out than back in the day when we would have to go research in libraries and look through films and microfiche and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but anyway, so check that out. I'll have the link down below in the description so you can find it easily. Anyway, this film was written by David Himmelstein and directed by Stephen Orrit. All right, ready for the list of things that I liked about this movie? First of all, I'm always fascinated by World War II movies, not just the action flicks, but also ones like this that show the human drama in the everyday lives of people who were just simply trying to survive the atrocities of the times. And that definitely describes this film. Most audiences won't recognize anyone in the cast, and I'm always happy to be introduced to new actors in the industry. For the most part, the acting was very good. The cast includes Zuzana Surowi, Paweł Krolikowski, Michalina Olsanska, Eric Lubos, Alexandra Pisula, and Kasari Selenkier. I probably pronounced that terribly wrong. But anyway, among others, those were kind of the big main leads. The biggest lead is Zuzana Soroi. She plays Sara and just does a fantastic job, especially considering she had no acting experience and had never been in a movie before. She just has a very fresh, young, naive, innocent face and demeanor about her, which was perfect for this role. It's fascinating to watch her and her character transform from a frightened young girl to one who has to find that inner strength to do what she needs to do to protect herself. Every scene looked very realistic and very plausible. This is not a sanitized story, but one that paints a bloody, brutal, honest depiction of how poor peasants lived in Ukraine during World War II, specifically Jews and those who were somehow maybe hiding them or maybe hiding them without knowing that they were hiding Jews. Anyway, no spoilers. The film does a great job of showing everyday country people who are just trying to survive World War II. And so it takes a very non judgmental approach, revealing that we never know what we'll do in a situation until we're actually living in it. None of the characters are without flaws. They are revealed to have dark secrets, and we see their personal struggles every day. This movie is especially painful to watch, knowing that the current Ukrainian people are being murdered and driven from their homes by the Russians at this very moment. So I think the timing of this release is good, sadly. Now, let me tell you some of the things that I didn't like or thought could have been done better. And there aren't that many of them, really. Again, I did enjoy this film. Many of the scenes occur at night, especially at the very beginning of the movie, which might make it really hard to see what's happening while watching on a small device once the movie goes to streaming. The movie begins with subtitles, but then quickly becomes a movie with spoken English. And I mention that because some viewers don't like foreign films. They don't want to have to read subtitles. So just know, don't be worried that it's going to be a foreign film that you have to read and it's going to be boring, or I don't know what some people think. Again, at the beginning, you're going to read subtitles and then it breaks into full on English. And then there are subtitles scattered just here and there throughout the rest of the movie. But it's definitely an English language movie, which is amazing to me. Especially as an American, we expect everybody to speak English. And so many, especially in Europe, do. And we forget that that's a second language that they had to learn. So kudos to the entire cast for learning English. Many of them have accents, but many of them speak very, very well. And because they do, we're able to watch the movie in English. So thank you. There's so much spitting in the movie, mostly in Acts 1 and Acts 2, I think. And sometimes it's just, grimy men doing their thing, while other times it's a political statement. There are a few bad acting moments. I'm not sure if it was the script or just these new actors that have never done a film before. The filmmaking itself is pretty basic and simple. It's effective, however. It would seem off-putting, I think, if they had fancy transitions and I don't know, fancy stuff, because this is a movie about peasants, and so it's all about simplicity and survival. So I think it was appropriate, but just in case you're expecting super fancy, that's not going to be the case. And then the movie itself also attempts to tell the hero's journey, but without the traditional story arc, where you meet the characters and then there's a rising action as you learn about their character flaws, and then they have maybe a setback, and then they go back up, and then there's the big climax, and then there's that resolution and denouement. And it's not so much like that. It's more of an up and up and a down and an up and a down and an up kind of a format. It's mostly a linear telling, although there are some flashbacks. And then when the film ends, it's not like everything is happy and roses. You do get to hear or see at the end of the movie some images and some words on screen telling you what happened in the rest of the story. But you know that there were many more hardships that had to be endured to get to where we are today. All right, so let me give you some tips for parents. There is some profanity, some talk of German Nazis in a very negative way, of course. Full frontal female nudity that you see of prisoners as a little cart is driving by. It kind of scans these women prisoners who are just completely naked. And I'm like, oh, I didn't have to see that. But there it is. You also see an unmarried couple having intimate relations, although you don't really see skin or details. You definitely, as an adult, know what's happening. But there are things like that that make it inappropriate for children. For example, you see dead people hanging from a tree, and appropriately, the mother says, "Oh, look away," to the young children. You see dead animals and bloody rabbits caught in a trap. And then we see people shot to death, just firing squad and blood and that kind of stuff. I think it would be very traumatizing for young children to see this, and even for some teenagers. So please use your judgment. It is rated R for a reason. Now, some of the themes that are illustrated very well are survival, religion, Christian and Jewish in particular, war, selfishness, honesty, self-protection, family, inner strength, self-reliance, relying on the land in particular, and the value of human life. Now, one impression that came over me as I was watching this whole movie was to consider, how did these people survive? And a lot of financial experts are predicting doomsday scenarios for what's happening in the economy, even politically, socially, what's happening in the world right now. And so I kept thinking, oh, how did they do that? Or how did they take care of that task or whatever, and kind of thinking about what things should I be buying and that kind of stuff. I actually have an online course called Emergency Preparedness for Peace of Mind, and it tells you all kinds of information like first aid, medical care in emergency situations, emergency communications like using ham radios and GMRS radios, food storage, water sanitation, and solar power and energy, and on and on and on. Anyway, it's an online course that I created. So check that out at lifelonglearningeducation.com. I don't know if you'll have that same impression that I did as I was watching that, but of course, emergency preparedness is kind of always on my mind. All right, so I always write down interesting lines, funny lines, and I put them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. I didn't, however, write down any funny lines because this is a very serious drama, but I'll share some of the interesting lines with you right now. So Eric Lubos plays a character named Pavlo, and he's talking about rabbits. They're trying to trap and kill rabbits so they can have food. And this young girl, Sara, has never seen that before. And he says to her, there's nothing much kinder than death in that scenario, because the rabbit, the first one that she sees, is really suffering. And then Nadia is this man's wife, and she's played by Michalina Olsanska. And she says to Sara, everyone lies. And partly it's, you think, oh, she's suspecting that Sara's not telling the full story. But then it also reveals her character in terms of that she does have secrets that she's hiding, but also the mistrust that she has in everybody else, that she doesn't believe everybody's telling her the truth either. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. All right, that's it for the review. But before we go, let me give you some recommendations for some other World War II movies that really address the war on a personal level. The first one, and one that just ripped me to shreds when I saw it, is called Life is Beautiful. It's fantastic. It specifically focuses on Italian Jews during World War II. And I happened to have a son who was the same age as the little boy who's in the movie. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If not, you should definitely watch this movie. It's incredible and extremely powerful and heartbreaking. Another one, kind of a classic, is The Island on Bird Street. And that one immediately made me think of another young child. Again, kind of a classic Holocaust movie, is called The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. And that's an outsider young kid discovering this little Jewish boy who's behind the barbed wire, wearing those striped clothes that the concentration camp people wore. Um, anyway, it's also very powerful. And there are millions of them, but those are ones that I kind of instantly thought of as I was watching this one. All right. Whew, it's powerful. And I hope that if you watch it, that you enjoy it, that you learn from it, that your heart is touched. And, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of the people in Ukraine today who are really suffering and struggling. So thank you so much for watching my review. I really appreciate your support and all of your kind words. Again, be sure and click on the description below for more links and information, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.